Let's begin with a story that has really shaken us all up. A brutal murder that has shaken the soul of the nation. 28-year-old Nikki Bharti was burnt alive, allegedly, by the very family she was married into. This happened in front of her kid, her sister, and was even recorded on camera. Her only crime? Not meeting that never-ending hunger for dowry. Her parents had already given cash. There was a Scorpio car, there were 400 grams in gold, motorcycle, a lot of other stuff, but it was clearly not enough. And now there are new details emerging on what have been the trigger behind burning her. Instagram Reels. Now, made by Nikki and her sister to spread the word about their beauty parlor may have been the reason that really bruised the fragile ego of her husband. Do we still live in a country where women have no right to exercise their agency? A woman being on social media, too much to handle by her husband. Good enough reason to be burnt alive. Watch this report for the complete picture.
28-year-old Nikki Bharti was burnt alive allegedly by her husband and in-laws for dowry. The gruesome murder in Greater Noida has left the nation in shock. The police have arrested the husband Vipin Bharti and his parents. Nikki and her sister Kanchan married the brothers Vipin Bharti and Rohit Bharti in 2016. According to sources, the husbands disapproved of the reels posted by their wives on Instagram. Sources say Nikki and Kanchan also had fights with their husbands over their beauty parlor business. According to the latest details shared by sources close to the investigation, a fight broke out between Nikki and her husband on February 11 over Instagram Reels. Both Kanchan and Nikki left for their maternal home after the incident. On March 18, a panchayat meeting was called where it was decided that both sisters won't make any reels. Kanchan and Nikki returned to live with their in-laws and stopped making reels. But after a few days, a fresh fight started after the sisters began uploading reels on Instagram. Earlier, the victims' parents had revealed that they had gifted the grooms a Scorpio SUV, a Royal Enfield Bullet motorcycle, 450 grams of gold and cash. They claimed the groom's family demanded another 35 lakh rupees and a Mercedes-Benz. Sources say that along with the dowry demand, Instagram Reels could have been a possible trigger for the murder. Nikki's father says he had given 1.5 lakh rupees to his daughters to start the beauty parlor. But the in-laws began harassing Kanchan and Nikki for more money.
ऐसे दरिंदे को तो गैला गैल फांसी होनी चाहिए, ऐसी जलाया जाए। एक आदमी तिल्ली लग जाती है ना, हल्की सी तिल्ली, उसमें तिलबिला जाता है। उस बेटी पे क्या बीती होगी?
Calls for capital punishment for the alleged killers are getting louder.
मैं उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार और महिला आयोग की तरफ से ये पूरी तरह से आश्वस्त करती हूँ कि बहुत ही कड़ी कार्रवाई होगी।
A few days ago, a similar incident had left the nation stunned when 25-year-old Radhika Yadav was killed in Gurugram by her father over Instagram Reels and a tennis academy. Such tragic incidents force us to confront a harsher reality. Who is truly failing Bharat's betis, leaving them vulnerable and unheard in a society that promises protection but delivers neglect? With Arvind Ojha in Noida, Bureau Report, India Today.
What sort of a country do we really live in? One where dowry deaths are normalized, or one wherein uploading a reel just to exercise your own agency gets too much and will get in the way of you and your life? Well, I spoke about this with Nikki's father a little while ago. Listen in. नमस्कार सिंह साहब, हमसे बात करने के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। आपका दर्द, आपका दुख इस समय हम समझ सकते हैं। आपने ऐसे समय पर हमसे बात करने का डिसाइड करा, इसके लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। हमें पहले बताइए कि निकी के साथ जो हुआ उसके बाद आपकी जो बड़ी बेटी है कंचन क्या अभी भी वहीं पर हैं कि आप उनको घर पे वापस ले आए हैं?
वापस ले आया जी मैं घर पे।
जी। सिंह साहब, बहुत सारी बातें सामने आ रही हैं। पहले ये हुआ कि ये दाउरी का मामला था, वो मर्सिडीज़ गाड़ी चाहते थे जो आपके पास शायद है। उन्होंने कई सारी और गाड़ियों की, बाइक्स की डिमांड करी। क्या ये बात सच है और ये कितने साल पहले बात है? क्योंकि 12 साल का रिश्ता है, क्या ये बहुत समय से होते आ रहा था?
ये भी 2024 से ही इनका प्रस्ताव रख रहे हैं ये लोग, पहले कुछ नहीं था। और बिटिया को टॉर्चर करना, परेशान करना।
जी। तो 2024 से ही ये शुरू हुआ है, उससे पहले सब ठीक था?
बिटिया को जलाई दिया, सब ठीक था।
क्या उनके इन-लॉज को, क्या ससुराल वालों को आपत्ति थी इस बात से कि वो इंस्टाग्राम पे जा रही थी?
नहीं, ये तो आदमी एक मुद्दा बनाता है कि इंस्टाग्राम का मुद्दा ले लो। ये तो इंस्टाग्राम उसी दिन से चला रही है। बेटी इनका पार्लर का काम मैंने करवाया 1.5 लाख रुपए दे के। जब ये दरिंदे कुछ कमाएंगे, दारू पियेंगे, इधर उधर डोलेंगे, तो वो अपने बच्चे इनको तो पालेंगी, बेटी पढ़ाएंगी भी, लिखाएंगी भी, अपना काम भी चलाएंगी।
अच्छा।
पार्लर का काम था, इंस्टाग्राम से ही काम चलता है पार्लर का।
इतने समय से अगर ऐसी डिमांड्स चल रही थी, इतने समय से अगर टॉर्चर हो रहा था, इतने समय से अगर डाउरी के लिए आपसे बोला जा रहा था कि मर्सिडीज़ वगैरह गाड़ियां दिखाएं, तो क्या आपकी बातचीत हुई? कभी आपने ऐसा सोचा कि इतना बुरा हो सकता है, मारपीट तक बात पहुंच जाएगी, जलाने तक बात पहुंच जाएगी? आपको कभी इस बात का ज़हन था?
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं ज़हन था। ऐसा ज़हन होता तो मैं बेटी को भेजता क्यों? मुझे ऐसा ज़हन होता तो मैं बेटी को भेजता क्यों? मैं जलवाता क्यों? मैं तो अपने दोहरे जैसी मैं खाता ऐसी बेटी खिलाता रहता। मेरी बेटी मेरी आंखों के सामने जल के मर रही है और उसका बेटा उसके सामने देख रहा। उस बेटे के जी पे क्या बीतेगी और बाप के जी पे क्या बीतेगी?
जी। तो हमें थोड़ा
आपकी भी कोई माँ होगी
जी,
उस पे क्या बीतेगी?
जी। नहीं सिंह साहब, ये बहुत ही दुखद घटना है और पूरा देश इससे बहुत हिला हुआ है। इसीलिए हम जानने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि ऐसा क्या हुआ कि आप कह रहे हैं 2024 तक कोई दिक्कत नहीं थी और 2024 के बाद मारना पीटना शुरू हुआ। तो ऐसा क्या बदल गया 2024 में और क्या इसकी वार्निंग्स पहले से नहीं आ पाई?
देखो, मैं तो एक ही बात रखूंगा कि मेरा समय खराब था। मेरी बेटी मेरे हाथों से चलेगी और तो मुझ पे कुछ बचा नहीं है कहने के लिए, ना सुनने के लिए। ऐसे दरिंदे को फांसी होनी चाहिए। मोदी योगी है, इनके घर पे बिल्डोजर चलाना चाहिए। बेटी को कोई ना पढ़ाएगा ना कोई लिखाएगा। ऐसे दरिंदे मिलते रहेंगे तो ये बेटी इनको मारते रहेंगे। हमारा कहना आपसे यही है, आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है, इसको 4 सीट मिलनी चाहिए हमें जल्दी से जल्दी और इन दरिंदे को फांसी लगनी चाहिए।
जी।
मैं तो आप लोगों से यही गुजारिश है मेरी, हाथ जोड़ के।
नहीं, आपकी गुजारिश
मेरी
कई
बेटी
लोगों
चली
तक
गई,
पहुंच
मुझ
रही
पे
है।
कुछ नहीं बचा, ना कोई कहने को बचा। मुझ पे और कुछ कहने को भी नहीं बचा। मैं किसी से क्या कहूँ अपने दुख दर्द की? मेरे गुमड़ा में कितना दर्द है। ना मुझे रोटी अच्छी लग रही है, ना पानी अच्छा लग रहा है।
And more news coming in and updates on this story. The National Commission of Women, NCW chairperson, has gone ahead to say that if even after 75 years of independence, our daughters are still being sacrificed to the evil practice of dowry, then nothing can be worse than this. In fact, she seems to have taken cognizance of this matter and has made a very strong appeal. She has also written a letter to the DGP of Uttar Pradesh requesting that this be investigated properly and action be taken. Listen in.
राष्ट्रीय महिला आयोग इस पूरे मामले की निगरानी भी करेगा किस तरीके से पुलिस का काम चल रहा है उसके ऊपर ध्यान भी रखेगा और दोषियों को कड़े से कड़ी सज़ा हो जाए इसके लिए पूरा प्रयास भी करेगा। और हम उस विषय में बहुत ध्यान भी रखकर हम आगे बढ़ेंगे। कानून और सुव्यवस्था अपना काम अपनी जगह पे करेगी, पर मुझे ये भी लगता है कि असली बदलाव तब होगा जब समाज की ये दहेज जैसी प्रथाओं के बारे में जो घटिया मानसिकता है उसको हम बदलाव कर सके। मुझे इसी घटना के साथ साथ मुझे समाज के उन सभी लोगों को, सभी वर्गों को आग्रह करना है कि अपनी बेटी के साथ डट के खड़े तो रहे, पर उसके साथ साथ ये घटिया सोच बदलने के लिए, कानून के बारे में जागरूकता निर्माण करने के लिए हम सभी लोग आगे भी आए।
Of course, breaking news now coming in, an update on this story actually, where the Greater Noida murder case, with all three arrested accused, the deceased Nikki's father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother-in-law, have been remanded to 14 days judicial custody. Remember, they are still denying that any of this happened, that they have any role to play in her death, any role to play in her alleged murder, if we can call it that at this point. Also, the husband, if you will remember, tried to run away from custody and was shot at in the leg to finally get a grip on him. He continues to deny anything happened, despite it all being caught in front of the camera and despite the witness being his own son. Joining us next is Adwaita Kala, a screenwriter and author and a prominent voice on women's rights issues. Adwaita, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I don't know where to begin with this story. The fact that dowry was asked and given, the fact that the sisters getting self-reliant and being confident enough to have social media accounts, have followers, was a problem. The fact that all of this happened in front of their son, and now that the family continues to deny it all, I'm really trying to wrap my head around the story and saying at what all levels was wrong going on. And a marriage, this was on for about 9 years. Nobody got a whiff of it. Nobody understood that this was going down the wrong road.
And the fact that this is probably happening in a lot of other homes as well.
Yes.
We're just not aware of them as yet.
Yeah.
Because tragically, there is this tendency to drop a veil over these circumstances and to stigmatize, any kind of harassment or abuse in a relationship. On a sociological level, it is women who bear the brunt of that. Women in our culture are supposed to be strong. And when we say women should be strong, we mean that they should put up with a lot of things and be stoic and bear it and yet calmly carry on. This is our definition of strength for a woman. So right from the very beginning, the way we're defining what it means to be a strong woman in our country is completely wrong. So where do we start? How do we begin to unravel, unspool this terror that visits so many young girls? This girl must have been married when she was 19 years old. She's 28 when she was killed. And I think we shouldn't even call it a dowry death because, it puts it into this compartment of intimate partner crime when what it is cold-blooded, brutal murder.
Yes.
And the punishment for that murder is very clear. And that's what he should get. And so should those who abetted him, which means his mother, as well as his father, as well as the brother who was witness to all of this, but never intervened.
Right. Dr. Ranjana Kumari, the Director and Center for Social Research, is also with us. Ma'am, thank you so much for being here. Like I was talking, I don't know at what all level the story has to be picked up. How do we even begin to unravel or peel off the different aspects of the story? But to start with, the fact that giving dowry, accepting dowry is still so common, still so prevalent, shouldn't that be the first red flag that we look at in any relationship which is said to be doomed in a way?
I think, in spite of the fact that 61, the law was brought in, 84, we protested on the streets of Delhi. Law was made more stringent. And then, of course, later Supreme Court judgments and unfortunately many things diluted the law completely. And also that the law has not been effectively implemented. By the time people started realizing that the law is very stringent and they will go to jail and get punishment, already it was diluted, and a whole lot of men group came up and they started saving the men in society. Now, the other side of the story is that it has become greed for money has been always there. In marriage, people have asked for money, and parents quietly have given this money. Neither it has been stopped at the end of asking people, the criminal families who get these daughters as daughter-in-laws, and the parents who send the daughters as daughter. After all, didn't they know in 9 years what is happening to their daughters? What is it that stops parents to bring the daughters back and start giving a life of dignity, respect, and safety? Why don't they do it? When know that these criminals must be sent to jail, they should be shot dead, if you ask me, because this is enough. Look at the way brutally the mother-in-law is holding her, the way he is hitting her, the way he's trying to stop any kind of recording of the whole thing, and little boy watching everything. What society are we talking about? And also on the other side, the story is that women have become smarter, they are educated, why should a woman not have a right to produce real? Isn't that a statement about her own confidence level, as you very rightly said?
Yes.
Isn't it a statement about her whole autonomy, independence, her whole self-respect? What is it? What is it about real? I mean, these days, this excuse that father killed the sports girl and everybody talked about the father didn't want her real. What is all this about? I mean, should only men produce the real like everything else in our society, or men have the right? Property, they
This
have the
is
right.
the new
Education,
whale.
they have the right.
Do
This is a new
do
thing.
not get out of the social media whale. I think that's the new whale
Absolutely.
that we are talking about. But ma'am, you raised a very
Absolutely.
important question, and perhaps one that has been on everybody's mind. That why didn't the parents of the girl take action beforehand? I did speak with the father, and we happened to interview the sister as well, the one who has survived it all. Remember, they were both married to two brothers in the family. So they were co-sisters, as they say, living together, and perhaps had that support with each other as well. But it's not so easy, is it, in that part of the society to bring your daughter back? It's not so easy, is it? It's not so easy, is it, to get your daughter to sit at home? जवान लड़की को घर पे बैठा लिया है with a kid to get them separated from it. These are whole lot of societal pressures that we are dealing with.
No, look, we have had enough of these arguments. We are talking enough of all this and using as a shield and excuse. I think let's forget about this. Girls are going for higher education. They are getting jobs. They are doing better than their brothers and the men in the family. They are proving themselves today. So how long should we say we have to get them married to these criminals, murderers, to be able to give them protection? What kind of safety and protection is this? What is this? What kind of a security are you guaranteeing your daughter? Why? Why should the marriage? Why should we continue all these kind of things in the name of giving, society? Who's this society? Where is this society today? You tell me. Where are those people? When look at the way brutally she's been killed and burned. Where is the society? Why is the society silent today? Why are everybody not going like we have always protested, going and protesting and catching hold of this family and and even the parents? So I think this excuse is becoming way too long, too intolerable. Basically, parents don't want to keep their daughter safe. Basically, they don't want to invest in their daughter. They just want to get rid of the. If the son is misbehaving in the family, if son is not doing well, do they buy security for the son? They don't. Do they get a wife who will keep him safe,
But
secure?
this was a father who was giving in to every request. They asked for a car, that was given. They asked for a bike, that was given. Then he figured out that the sons, as the father says in an interview to me just a little while ago, that the son would just, drink up or just be, loitering around, had no flourishing business of his own, etc. So he said, okay, the daughters were, a beauty parlor was set up for them so they could carry on. But in this case, it looks like giving in was also part of the problem. According to law, Dr. Ranjana Kumari, is giving dowry as much as a crime as accepting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody should, and when the law was made, this was ensured by women's groups that giving is as much as a crime, because instead of giving share in the property, parents would take, or the brother, whosoever is in the house, all the men will say, oh, we gave all this in marriage. And so, why should she come back and claim anything in the family's property? But this is totally wrong. Don't give a penny. Put the money in her name. Give her share in the property. We have been saying it all along. And I think I feel very sorry for the parents who've lost their daughter in such a brutal, criminal manner. I feel bad for them. But I am today very angry because, when 40 years back I wrote Brides Are Not for Burning, and going door to door, house to house, studying these cases of dowry, having gone through so many cases of dowry as Mahila Dakshata Samiti Vice President, having even till date we are dealing with dowry cases, and and in response, what do we get? We get galis. People call us all kinds of names for saying that, oh, smart women, look at the way women are trying to even get my old mother-in-law getting in jail. Look at all these old people languishing in jail. What is this mother-in-law doing? What is she doing in this whole case? So I feel that, as a society, let us say that let's change the narrative. Don't say women are smart. Say women are suffering, women are facing violence, and we need to do something about that. We have to stop it at all costs. Let the topmost leadership of this country today get up and say, this is totally unacceptable. I think let the UP Chief Minister say, this is totally unacceptable. This should not be tolerated in our state. Why are we not doing anything serious about it?
Yeah. Adwaita has a point to make. Adwaita, also, she's right. Dr. Anjana Kumari is right when she says the outrage is very limited to the area, perhaps. There will be aghast, views that we will see on Twitter, etc. But we are not seeing a nationwide campaign. We are not seeing people come together. We are not seeing women to say, this is not on. It cannot be done. You cannot be burnt alive in front of your son, for God's sake. For all you wanted to do was be financially independent, do something of your own, and you were confident enough to put yourself out there in front of social media.
It's a two-pronged approach. One is the governmental approach. Of course, Yogi Adityanath has been very tough on crime when it comes to women in the state of Uttar Pradesh. And it's indisputable that the law and order situation has improved drastically since he took office. Even when it comes to, demonetizing dowry as a practice, it's the Chief Minister's Samuhik Vivah Fund now gives double the money to a girl's family, and the money, 60,000 rupees. First it was 51, now it's 1 lakh, and 51,000 goes into the bride's account directly. 60,000, I'm sorry, 60,000 goes, and the rest is for ancillary expenses. Okay, so the government on its part is doing its thing. I don't think we should drag politics into this. Certainly it's condemnable. The police has acted. He was shot in the foot or the leg. Frankly, I wish they'd aimed higher and really got to him. But in either case, that's one aspect of it. The secondary aspect of it is society. How do we define being an empowered woman? Are we going to define it in the terms of being financially stable, being social, scholastically stable? Sure, these are aspects. But I've written a column on this today. I think it's extremely important to redefine this in terms of empowering women when it comes to their mind and their mindset. And that's the role that society needs to play. Empowerment is just not about having a job or driving a car. If you're a housewife and if you're running a home, and if you come from a background, we are not just one India where we can brush away all kinds of differences. There are different cultures within our one macro culture. So we have to ensure that girls and women are mentally strong. It's not enough just to be educated. It's not enough to be even financially strong. You think this kind of domestic abuse is not there in the upper echelons of society amongst educated women? No, it's just concealed better. That's the only difference. It exists until we don't recognize that empowerment of the mind to take primacy over any other empowerment. Our girls are going to keep suffering like this, and society needs to play a role in this. And secondly, I think we need to look at divorce with nuance. Divorce is not the best outcome for for any relationship, but
what do you mean?
It's an essential outcome for survival. This girl would have been alive if she had moved out, if she had divorced this no-good thug and led her life. So that is another area where we have to really discuss and talk about societal lenses.
That's true, actually. And it's the time for women to do it all is over. They've done it. We've done it. We've achieved it. We've proven it. Time for men to take note of that. time for society to take note of that. I think that time is here, and all of this has to come down, and these instances like these have, made us think hard. I really hope it goes down to the grassroots levels and makes the next bride who's getting married exercise her own agency and think about what she's really getting into. Thank you both for joining us with your lovely thoughts on this. We leave it there for the moment. All right, moving on to the next story that we are tracking here on 5 Live. The Supreme Court has directed India Got Latent host Samay Raina and 4 of his co-comedians to display an unconditional public apology for ridiculing individuals with disabilities and rare genetic disorders. The court called their speech insensitive and offensive. Supreme Court also observed that free speech does not extend to commercial speech. In one of the episodes, the comedians were seen mocking a disabled contestant, with the apex court called a ridicule of people with disabilities. The court also said that such actions will attract penalties and fines. The court has also now instructed the Information and Broadcasting Ministry to frame guidelines for social media to filter out any such insensitive, discriminatory comment. Calling the jokes disturbing, the court has also directed other influencers to submit an affidavit detailing the steps they will take to promote awareness about the rights of people with disabilities. Welcome back. On to the big health story we are tracking here on 5 Live. Serena Williams has joined the ranks of celebrities now endorsing GLP-1 weight loss drugs. But this just isn't another ad. With a husband sitting on the board of the company behind the drug, questions about conflict of interest and transparency are perhaps obvious. The question is, what message does it send when elite athletes, not actors, remember, not thought leaders, but athletes, promote powerful prescription medication to millions, many who perhaps don't have the same medical support that the celebs enjoy? We dig into the controversy, shaking the lines between celebrity influence, medicine, and ethics. The latest celebrity to endorse GLP-1 weight loss drugs isn't another actor or a thought leader or a business tycoon. It's one of the most celebrated global sports icons of our times. It's Serena Williams. Serena recently revealed her personal journey with GLP-1 medication. It helped her lose around 31 pounds, that's approximately 14 kgs. All this happened postpartum for her. She has candidly shared her personal experience now after taking Zepbound. She states, "I trained at the highest level, ate a clean diet, pushed myself, and still after having kids, my body just wouldn't respond. I realized it wasn't about willpower, it was biological. My body needed GLP-1 and clinical support." She goes on to say, if you're on GLP-1 too, don't let anybody tell you it's the easy way out. You're not taking a shortcut. You're taking care of yourself, and that takes courage. So, Serena calls it self-care. But is it just that? Because this wasn't just a blog post or a personal experience. This is an endorsement, a paid campaign for telehealth startup Ro, which FYI is the company in which her husband serves as a board member. Now, this financial connection raises the ethical questions about transparency and whether a promotion is purely personal or influenced by commercial interests. And then there's the larger issue. Was a decision about enhancing her health and well-being, or was it merely for her physical appearance? Regardless of what you believe, her endorsement has now stirred a global controversy. A fan on X has slammed the endorsement, warning that such messaging coming from an elite athlete sets a troubling societal standard. Another one goes on to say it risks telling women everywhere that if your body is capable of feats beyond imagination, it still isn't good enough unless it's smaller. Actress and activist Jameela Jamil sharply criticized the promotion, highlighting the access disparity between celebs and the general public and the serious risks involved. Even her loyal fans have slammed her, asking, when Serena Williams built her legacy on defiance, why lend it to Ozempic culture? Perhaps rightly so, no? Serena's endorsement blurs the line between medical treatment and lifestyle choices, making us question once again, What role should celebrities play when promoting prescription medications? Critics worry it will glamorize potent drugs as a quick fix for body image, especially pressuring new mothers who may not medically need such interventions. But this clearly isn't the first time. Let's look at Indian celebs. MS Dhoni endorses potato chips. Kartik Aaryan, Samantha Ruth Prabhu, Alia Bhatt, Hrithik Roshan, Sara Ali Khan endorse processed snacks or sugary treats that contradict their personal wellness image. Shah Rukh Khan, Ajay Devgan, Amitabh Bachchan, Akshay Kumar endorsing pan masala. The bottom line here is, when it comes to chips, cola or even pan masala, celebrity endorsements spark debates. But when prescription drugs enter the picture, the consequences can be far more serious. Legally, it's a grey area. Ethically, it's a red flag. Celebrities have enormous reach and power. Their words shape public opinion, fuel trends, influence medical decisions. But should someone with an army of personal trainers, doctors, dietitians, PR teams be promoting a drug to an average person? Someone who doesn't have access to the same safety net? So, how much influence should stars really have over our medical decisions? And where do we draw the ethical line before it crosses into a dangerous territory? Serena Williams' GLP-1 campaign isn't just a celebrity ad, it's perhaps a wake-up call. Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor for India Today. And there are several questions that emerge from the story. Let's take you to the big 5 questions we're asking here on 5 Live. Celebrity endorsement of drugs are blurring medical boundaries altogether. Who gets to have the final call? Also, is this normalization of medical weight loss in a potentially harmful way? Is there transparency about risks and side effects? Is there equity in access to these medications? And does, importantly, this undermine body positivity and postpartum acceptance? We'll be taking all these questions with our guest now. Joining us is Dilip Cherian, image guru. Also with us is Jitendra Choksi, also known as JC, popularly online. He's a health educator, CEO of Fitter. Dilip, to you first. It's been interesting. Celebrity endorsements has been debated for a while. But like I said in that explainer as well, doing it with GLP-1 drugs or with drugs which are currently facing massive suits even in the US, that opens up floodgates to another level, doesn't it?
You know, the suits are one thing, the huge jump in the companies that make it, their income is another thing. But the real danger in my mind is that we are also bringing up a whole bunch of consumers who are beginning to look to celebrities rather than doctors for advice about how to take care of their health. That, to my mind, is the most dangerous thing. You know, selling images to people buying footballs or ice cream is one thing. And, you know, I've been in the business of that for many years. And having dealt with both celebrities as well as having looked at advertising from the point of view of somebody who's been on the board of the Advertising Standards Council, let me say that this whole space of celebrity endorsement is rife with all kinds of potential conflicts. Serena's is a case where the conflict is even more because her husband is on the board, but that I think the conflict should be on in terms of how much the company has paid her. But really, consumers and patients, people who require either the interventions that a GLP-1 drug requires you to do, need to talk to professional practitioners who are trained in medicine. Looking to a celebrity, whether it's an Elon Musk.
You're right. But how does that happen, Mr. Cherian? How does that happen when you have your biggest sports icon saying, dude, I took it. And it's not lazy. It's not a shortcut. She said that very categorically in her statement. It's not a shortcut. Don't beat yourself up for taking these GLP-1 drugs. What you should ask yourself is this helping you? This is self-care, she says. Which brings me to what JC has been saying for a while. You know, JC, you have had a love-hate relationship with GLP-1 drugs. Earlier, you said this was a medical marvel. Now, you're saying stay away, as far away as possible. But in a country, in India, the situation is a little hush-hush. Nobody has endorsed it just yet. But I can tell you this, and to all our viewers, every endocrinologist I speak to tells me that every second person in their clinic asking for GLP-1 does not need it. That's the harsh reality as of today.
Absolutely right. I think the time for caution, unfortunately, was maybe 6 months or a year back. Now we are living in a time where these drugs are accessible to anybody online easily, and the companies are happy to arrange a call with their own doctors who would happily prescribe these to you. So I think the time for caution is gone, and celebrity endorsement, like Serena Williams here, is just marks a beginning of an era where these drugs are going to be abused and abused to an extent where it will create another big public disaster. So I'm kind of hoping that it does not turn out to be as bad as I'm hoping. That way I'm kind of yeah. But let's see what happens. But because what's going to unfold in front of our eyes, we'd see the results in 6 months to a year's time. These drugs are not going to take a very long time to show effects in people. So I think 6 months to a year's time, we should be able to see some of the aftermath of what's happening right now.
JC is sounding almost defeatist. He's saying there's nothing we can do anymore. The damage has already been done. And in India, it didn't even need celebrity endorsements or Indian celebrity endorsements. We have had enough of looking at Oprah and Elon Musk and everybody and saying this is going to be the game changer. But Dilip, the same question, right? When celebrities endorse cola and soda, but themselves don't do it, when they endorse sugary drinks, when even Virat Kohli, for that matter, goes on to endorse chips, which is again he's faced flack for that. They're relatively healthier is what a lot of people are saying. Is there no rule that can guide this, or is this getting into the space of advertising creativity, marketing reach?
I think that there needs to be more sterner deadlines and red lines about these things. You cannot allow celebrities to start inducing children, people who are vulnerable because of their own issues to do with their body shapes or whatever it is. That is dangerous. Fortunately, you just mentioned that you've spoken to some endocrinologists. Before this program, I also took the precaution of just checking with an endocrinologist, and his words were very simple. This is a serious drug. It is meant for serious issues which the body has to deal with. It cannot just be prescribed. And exactly as you said, 50% of the people who are going there are trying to tease a prescription out of him. And he says, no, you don't need it. And that's the danger. What is happening is that it is being popularized like pop music or like chips. I think the danger of chips and colas is at one level, but here you're playing around with a serious drug which you are injecting into your body. The ability to reverse that, you can stop a child from eating chips, but you cannot undo the damage that this will cause.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of times, JC, the questions are asked of celebrities. The advertising dynamic and the paradigm is also shifting in India, right? We have influencers now. The argument here can be that at least celebrities have a level of filtration that they will do before signing up with a brand. What about influencers who are a dime a dozen and can easily be coaxed into saying something that A, is not science-backed, B, they don't believe, and C, is a cheap tool to just get some views?
Okay, so it's not just about celebrities and influencers. I don't think any amount of filtering happens because why would a celebrity endorse chips or Vimal pan masala or any other pan masala for that matter? Let me tell you a story. So I was sitting with a friend over her house for dinner. She sits on a board of a large pharmaceutical company, and we happened to get into this discussion of what's happening. Next year the patent is going to expire, and Indian companies are going to flood the market with GLP-1 drugs. She said, JC, I'm worried. I care about the people, but for me, it's more of a fiduciary responsibility. I'm accountable to my board members. If we don't decide
Ah.
to manufacture these GLP-1 drugs, we lose 200
Hmm.
crore rupees. So if we don't do it, somebody else will. So at this point of time, even pharmaceutical companies have really no fiduciary responsibility to the public. They have a fiduciary responsibility to their board members as long as it's bringing in profits. Nobody really gives a crap about, or like people's health anymore. So that's
Yeah.
that's the world
So
we're
where are
living
we
in.
going? We are saying companies have responsibility towards their board members, their shareholders. We are saying that, well, celebs will continue to do what they do because that's their source of revenue as well. So Dilip Cherian, are we coming down to government actually fixing laws on this? Is that what it has come down to? Like they took on gaming, perhaps? There should be another law that talks about what kind of endorsement can actually happen with the celeb?
I think that there are a whole bunch of laws or at least regulations in place. And you're right. Allowing government to get in and decide on all these things may
Can
end
be
up,
tricky.
yeah, may end up with us losing a lot of freedoms, and that's not advisable. What is advisable is that I hope and I wish to see more serious doctors getting serious face time on all kinds of media, including Instagram, including television, so that they can actually explain what is the non-reversible impact of these pharmaceuticals which you are injecting into your system. There is no shortcut, and the shortcut is not more stringent regulations. The celebrities are one problem. The other problem are influencers. Influencers have absolutely no one influencing them except their own timelines. And that is what is worrying today, because a lot of young people and a lot of ignorant people and a lot of easily impressionable people, these are three different categories of people, all of them are influenced by people who have no business giving advice of the kind that they're dishing out.
Right. But, JC, for example, the SEBI is so thorough with influencers now. They are very clear and they take very stringent action if somebody is giving wrong financial advice, giving stock tips that are not quantified, asking people to sort of put their money somewhere which is not legit. They've managed to sort of curb the problem. And I see when I talk to influencers, they are pretty clear with the guidelines now. Are we missing those kind of guidelines, those guardrails when it comes to health? And when I say that, I mean that for the colas, for the fried food, for all your processed meats and, packaged food. I mean, and of course, GLP-1 included.
So I think the biggest problem is that it's very easy to quantify the damage when it comes to fintech. The damage can be assessed in a short period of time, and it's very easy to tie all the loose ends. When it comes to dispensing health advice, the damage cannot be assessed in short term. We don't have any kind of real time insights into what kind of advice is leading to what kind of damage. For example, if somebody says, "Hey, eat this food or don't eat this food," an argument can be made both in favor and against as to why somebody
That's
must
true.
eat this food
Yeah.
or not eat that food, right? So,
Yeah.
so it's not just today. I think more than eating too much of wrong food, we are also consuming too much of wrong information. And so, it doesn't just apply to food. We also need a break from the information that's surrounding us. And surprisingly, what happens is that these kind of companies in the market and they sell their products, they kind of gaslight the users into saying, "Hey, we are just marketing the product, but the choice is on you whether you take it or not." But in reality, the user is completely surrounded
Yeah.
and kind of like it's almost forced into
It's
making a decision. For
conditioning.
example, exactly. So for example, if somebody was sitting on fences after watching how 2,000 odd lawsuits have been filed against the company, they wrote in one of the biggest celebrities, and everybody who was kind of thinking, "Oh, should I take it or should I not?" They're like, "Hey, Serena Williams took it. Let me go ahead and do that." right? And
To
not
everybody
everybody.
who's thought that, let me just say, while FDA is giving more and more approvals to GLP-1 drugs to cure other diseases, there is a lawsuit against Ozempic for having caused blindness. Perhaps the biggest lawsuit the health industry has faced in quite some time, some $2 billion, which is there. So it's important to trust your source when you get the health information, and that's something that we'll keep talking about. Can I give the last word to Dilip Cherin very quickly? Is there a sense that you get from interacting with celebrities on whether or not they're getting conscious about it? We've seen some rollbacks. For example, Akshay Kumar saying, I will not do this. Amitabh Bachchan stepping down with some pan masala advertisements as well. Do you sense a shift that is coming? Or do you think it's just something which is temporary and it'll be all back to numbers in no time?
It's an unequal battle between companies and consumers. Companies have so much money that they can find alternate routes all the time, and they do. Second, at ASCII, when we made rules for celebrities, we found that many of them gained extra consciousness. That's a good thing. When a non-enforceable group like ASCII can actually make celebrities think twice about endorsing a flat they're selling from a builder who doesn't exist, you are actually making some sense, like what you talked about, finfluencers. But I think that we are still a long way away. And because it is this unequal battle between the pots of money that corporates have and the levels of ignorance that most consumers have, we will continue to have this unless we can get more responsible people to speak more often on the platforms that matter. That's what will make sense.
Well, buyer beware has been the philosophy so far. I don't think it really works when it comes to drugs, when it comes to GLP-1, as potent drugs as these. So let's just hope that before the generics flood the market, we have some guardrails in place. JC, Dilip Cherin, thank you both for joining us on this very insightful discussion. Now to some emerging trends around us. Old school clubs, well, it's time to say bye-bye to them because there's a new age private club culture that's quietly brewing in. India's young elite are choosing exclusive spaces that offer global access, style, and serious social networking. Here's a report on the new social playgrounds that people are going into. Of course, only if you can afford it.
Yes, members-only clubs are booming. In fact, these modern private clubs are gaining ground as alternatives to traditional colonial-style clubs in swanky neighborhoods. Think Delhi Gymkhana, Delhi Golf Club, and the like. Because the new age elite wants something more, and that is global access and mobility. And that is where these private, modern, and exclusive playgrounds of social currency are cropping up. With Soho House hitting Delhi very soon, we decode these enclaves of the rich and powerful. India's young rich are no longer relating with the gymkhanas of the world. The waiting time is more than 30 years. A blue blood association is necessary and the member base is static. New age wealth creators and creatives are taking instead to private clubs that charge a one-time and annual membership fee instead, after a committee vets profiles. Soho House is a global success story with a world-class gym, pool and rooms to stay in all major cities for an annual membership of more than 3 lakh Indian rupees. You can also find profiles of other members. Other network-focused clubs like Quorum are also becoming the new watering holes for hobnobbing. It was the Brits who got club culture from England to India. But these unofficial headquarters from the British Raj stuck and are still synonymous with having a good time with a select few. India is the fastest growing economy in the world, and this is where young Indians are doing business. These cliques of A-listers are changing the course of working out, travel and love. With Shreya Srivastav and video journalist Manish Shah, Bureau Report, India Today.
So a lot of these clubs exist in our metros, in places like Gurugram. You know what else exists in Gurugram? Well, once the city envisioned as a millennium city, it now seems to be a sinking ship. No prizes for guessing. If you've lived there, you will know, both literally and metaphorically. The story hasn't changed this year as well. Several areas witnessed severe waterlogging, drainage failure. just not worth that exorbitant money that you pay per square foot for living in Gurugram. But look what happened today. That was slightly different. Not just Indians, but even expats, a lot of whom stay in Gurugram, are now on the streets, taking matters into their own hands, quite literally. They launched a cleanliness drive, and while these pictures went viral online, many were saying, where is the municipal corporation? Shouldn't this be the responsibility of our civic bodies? We leave you with that thought. More news with Akshita coming up on the other side.
This idea came because if you can see, this land is beautiful. India is amazing. But the only problem is people need to take care of something that's also outside of the house. So Indian people are one of the cleanest people on the planet. Everybody takes care of themselves. They take care of their homes. But the moment it comes out to something that's outside, they think it's not their issue. So we have to change that. So I'm not inviting people to go around cleaning Delhi and everything. Just clean outside your house. 2 meters, that's enough. So everybody needs to take this kind of responsibility.